Hey up everybody and welcome back. Well, I'm safely home from camping, though my feet are itching like mad at the moment from this walk down to the workshop. I'm one of these people who, if there's a biting insect within a half a mile of me, it'll find me. We get mosquitoes in our bedroom in the winter, and that's the honest truth. So one night, because being an older fella, you know, we have certain problems, I slipped out of the camper to have a pee. By the time I got back in, I had about 10 mosquito bites on each foot and ankle, so they're playing up a little bit. Alright, so hope you didn't mind getting the last video a day late. Over the next couple of weeks, actually, the next couple of videos, so I'm trying to get this one done now. I don't know what's going to happen because it's the time of year for my trial, so I'm out in the woods a lot and I've got to go and cut the grass on the pits area and in the neighbour's field and things like that, so we'll do our best. Okay, so had a lot of comments, probably still going to get more because this is only Tuesday. We only got back last night, but I want to make sure I can get a video done. So there was a few things. A couple of people mentioned the shaft for the reversing gear. I'm going to speak to Hitchcock's because it was pointed out it's probably just a plug, and when you take the plug out, behind it there's a screw-in shaft. So I'll find out. I was going to ask Hitchcock's about it before I did anything anyway. Andrea's also mentioned that Enfield did make some unit construction, which they did. The Crusader engine and its derivatives, the 250 single, and they punched that out to 350. So yes, some of the Enfields were unit construction, but only the little ones. Well, 350. So we'll leave the gearbox for now till I find out about that, and of course until I order the bearings that I'm going to replace. So what we're going to do today is I'll do that little bit of welding behind the footrests just to get that out of the way. The wheels have gone to Buchanan's. Somebody asked me why I didn't do it myself, but as I mentioned, they were going to require non-standard spokes, so it was one of those cases where if I've got to get them to do the spokes and I've got to get a box back big enough to take rims, it wasn't going to cost that much more to get them just to build the whole things up. So there's that. What else was mentioned? Oh, there was something else I was going to say. Anyway, whatever it was, I'll be replying to the comment. So what are we going to do? So as I say, we're going to do that bit of welding, and also what I want to do is have a look at the engine stuff we've got, particularly the cylinder head. I'll definitely order new valve springs, but I want to look at the valves and stuff, and we'll check through and see what we need for there, because I'm going to order an aluminium barrel. I've got a couple of pistons, but I'm going to get a new piston to go with the barrel. Gasket set. As I say, we need bearings and that pin for the gearbox. So there's stuff to look at. I think I've got everything I need there. I'm not sure. The cases have been done and there's a crank in, so I've got a feeling that there's new bearings in there, but we'll look. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to go through all the engine stuff, and we're going to do that little bit of welding, and let's get stuck in and do it. Right, you can see now how I've welded this piece in here. As I say, I was going to make two little sort of triangular pieces to go there, but I decided this was a lot easier to do. Every bit as strong. In fact, if not stronger. The other thing you'll notice is that I bronzed it, and I actually did this for one simple reason: to practice my TIG bronzing, because I had a little trouble with it, and now I think I've sort of one thing was I started to use a larger diameter rod. I think what was happening before was, because I was only using the 16th rod on quite large gaps, I was overheating the metal. Because one of the things with TIG is it's very much a sort of relationship between the amount of heat you put in and how fast you move. So you can in fact put a lot of heat in, you know, high amperage, but if you're moving really quickly, you don't actually put a lot of heat into the metal. Whereas if you're using a low amperage, you find you've got to wait so long to get this to the temperature you want, particularly if you're actually melting it to TIG weld it, that you put more heat in. So sort of counterintuitive, but sometimes the the higher the heat input, the less heat goes into the job because you moved that quickly. Anyway, I'm quite pleased with the way that's come out, so that was good. Alright, let's have a look at this engine. We'll start with the very basics. Here's our cases. I just pulled them apart. We've got the cam followers in. Tappets, whatever you want to call them. There's the two shafts that the cams go on. As I say, this has already been bead blasted. The insides have been cleaned. Same this side. So we need main bearings for that. So I've added them to my little list. And here is the crank. There's absolutely no play on the big end. As I say, we're going to get a new piston, but up and down there's no play whatsoever on the little end either. So once we get our new piston on there, we should be fine. Some rust on here, but there's no pitting as such. So there's the inner part of that side main bearing, but I'll get a new one anyway. And there's one, yep, just one. It's either a thrust washer or a shim. We will find out as we go along. But anyway, so I've added bearings for both sides of the list. So let's have a look, see what's in the boxes of bits. Now then, first little tray. Well, there's the ring that holds the alternator on, or that goes into the chain case for the stator of the alternator to go on. You may remember I had to buy one of those for the other one. Here we have got, looks like most of a clutch. I noticed Hitchcocks have a sort of clutch kit which comes with springs, plates and everything. So there are no plates in there. The cush rubbers are shot. So hang on. Let me write that down. Clutch cush rubbers. And I've got plates and springs already written down. That'll clean up alright. There's the clutch centre. That's rusty but quite serviceable. I'll have to get see all the balls in there. Can you see the balls in there? Yeah. We'll have to see to them. Right, what else have we got? That's a gasket for the inspection cover, and there in fact is the inspection cover, two of them. So rocker posts, there's the rockers and their mountings, 1, 2, pair of push rods, pair of plates that go under those. Where are we? That way around. They go under there like that. And over this side we have got some valve cover gaskets. Oh! That's part of the gear change mechanism. That's where the gear lever goes on. And, hang on. That goes on there. I thought I was going to have to buy one of them. And then that connects with this part that does all this, which, as you may remember, I said wasn't in there because the hand change went directly onto this. So that's good. And oh, we've got some more parts of the gear change mechanism. A large alloy spacer with looks like oil holes in. I'll have to look in the parts book for that. Camshafts with new camshaft spindles. So the ones in there don't look bad. There's no play on those at all. Ready? Ooh. I'll just put that on there. And no, there's no play at all in them. So that's good. Alright, let me swing you back round here. There I am. There you go. So that's pretty good. So let's think. We've got the cams, we've got the push rods. Well, we've got the cams, the followers are still in, the tappets are still in. We've got the push rods, we've got the rocket tops. So then we also have here two gears, two pinions I should say. They are, let's keep swinging you back, let me bring this over. You see that? Let me zoom you out a little bit. See, they go on there. And that's the drive up to the magneto. But I'm not going to give away any secrets. I might be able to do something about the ignition on this. Alright, so we've got all that. If we need to use a magneto, as I say, we've got the, I can show you them better now, can't I? Betterer. They go on there. See? So that's good. So we've got everything that goes in the timing chest. Cover goes on there. That goes on that way because there's a little pin at the bottom. I have to keep sort of reaching over to see. Yeah, you can just about see that. Alright. That's them. So let me put these away and go and get the other box. Alright. One timing side outer case. Looks as if the pump's in there, but we'll take them apart to make sure the gubbins are in. Drop feed oil pipe. That I think is going to go on top of the gearbox. We'll have to look into that. Ooh. Ooh. Right, we've got something wrapped up here. So this is a mystery to both of us. Or all of us, I should say. Ah! Well, there you go. There's the original mains. That seems a bit ropey. There's one shim. Another shim. See where that was ground to get it out. So I'll check in the parts book, see what sort of bearings we want, but we're going to put new bearings in there anyway, so we can forget about them. The reason I'm going oh is because of this. Will you look at that? Now, I wonder if they are genuine ones. I'll have to check up on that. They look it, but to be honest I wouldn't use them anyway. The thing about all the old bikes is they had terrible footrests. I mean, look how narrow that is. You're teetering on that. You need a good solid footrest on a trials bike. You look at the modern ones, they're about yay wide, and like on my TY250 they were narrow like this, so I made extensions for them. So that's interesting. And also in here there are two distributors. So put all that back. We're not going to use the distributor. See, they're a later engine, alternator type, so they didn't have magneto. So I could use the distributor. I could use the alternator, and I could get the little electronic gubbins box to take the place of the regulator rectifier and run it without a battery. We'll see, but I have another thought. I might do that actually. Save me some money. I was forgetting this was a later model engine, that it wouldn't have magneto. Anyway, let me put this box back and go and see what's next. Next thing is the barrel. That's not the barrel, the head, which is aluminium. And I believe they were aluminium on the Pashleys, even though they hadn't got round to putting the aluminium ones on some of the other models. So there's those valve covers which the gaskets went to. And so I'm going to take these out to check the valves. 1, 2, so we've got 3 of the long bolts that go to the through studs from the cylinder, from the cases I should say. Actually I've got to check there aren't any bolts in those cases, so I might have to buy some of those. Alright, take that out because it'll only fall out. There's where the decompressor should go, but it's just blanked off on these. But we will put a decompressor in. We'll have to do that valve face. I'm going to put a concentric carb on this. I want to try. Been hearing good. I think I mentioned. I've been hearing good things about the new concentrics. I put one on the Indian, and that seemed to be very nice. So I'm going to try a concentric on this, and I guess if I get it from What's Its Face in the UK, Hitchcock's, they should be able to jet it up for me. Now, here we come. I'll see if I can zoom you in a bit to show you this. See, that's broken up all around there, and somebody's pressed in an aluminium ring, well, a piece of aluminium tube. It looks as if it's been machined, actually as if they've had it on a milling machine in there, so I guess they've opened this out enough to put that in. Hold on, it's one of those things where I'm going the other side of the workshop. And now I'm coming back. Yep. That goes in there. So, nice fit. Do we take the trouble? This has got some cracks in it. To try well, one crack. Actually, I think, no, can you see the crack there? Move it over a bit, there's a crack just there. Let me get the other head. This head, by the way, is obviously the one those rocker blocks go on. Here's the other head. And it's had the same repair job done. Actually, a better finish. So there's even some aluminium swarf inside there. Some turnings from when it was milled. There you can see the bits of milling residue there. So I think I'll clean this head up and see what it's like, because as I say, that's a better job than that other one. Unless he hadn't finished doing that other one and it still needed machining down to there. We'll see. So I got valve springs and stuff listed there. Get that cleaned up. Okay, so that's the bottom end. The barrel I'm not showing you because, as I say, I'm buying a brand new aluminium barrel. Which means, by the way, that I've got about 5 cast iron barrels. I haven't measured any of them or checked the bores, but just for all of you to know that I have 5 spare barrels. Alright, so let's think. I guess the next thing for me to do is clean this up and take the valves out the other head so we can check that. Now then, we're back to the gearbox, because before I look at the cylinder head, because I've just been on the phone to Hitchcock's to check on a couple of things. Compression ratio is available for pistons, so I asked them about this, and the nice chap there went off to talk to the technical people, and he came back and said nobody's ever worked on one. So we're in the dark here a little bit. I mean, I don't doubt that the couple of people who mentioned it are right, so let's see if we can drill a hole in this plug. My usual incredibly sharp drill bit. See, I daren't go in too much. That looks pretty solid. I don't think this is a plug. Listen to that. I really can't see. Let me get a little spiky thing. I don't know. Now I'm really dubious about this. I'm going to have to call This evening I'll call Ray, who I bought the engines off, because he's, well, as I say, I think I told you he's like the president of the Royal Enfield Owners Club in the US. I don't know. Excuse me, frog in my throat there. So I thought we were going to learn something there, but now I'm not so sure. So we'll go back to what I planned we were going to do, and let's have a look at the cylinder head. Now, for those of you who know what you're doing and have watched more than a few of my videos, you'll have seen me taking valves out before, but I know I've got a lot of new subscribers, and just bear with me, I thought I would do it once again. So you need your valve compression tool, you need a hammer. Don't worry about needing a hammer. You often need a hammer. In fact, if ever you've trued up a crankshaft after you put a new big end in, if you're a commercial mechanic, the last thing you want is for your customer to see you doing it, because he'll see you beating the living daylights out of it with a big brass hammer or something suitable, and either a little magnet or a little pokey thing. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to put this part here. This is large rings, so you can get the valve collets out, or as I say here, they call them keepers. The other end goes into the face of the valve. Now these are, I've already taken one out, they were a bit loose. What you would normally do is you put some pressure on, and the valve collets over time tend to stick. So this is where the hammer comes in. When you've got a little bit of pressure on, you just give it a bump like that, and that sort of breaks the grip of the valve spring top on the collets, and then you'll find it'll just screw in nice and easily like that. Wind it in, and when you've wound it in far enough that the little collets are clear, out they come. Or as I say, you can, if you haven't got a magnety thing, you can just get them out with a, he says, get them out, there it goes. Then let the pressure off, and it's done. It's one of the easiest jobs on an engine, to be honest. Then out will come the two valves and the top. For the Enfields, there's a couple of different tops. There's these aluminium tops, and there's some metal, some steel ones. And you've got to be careful when you're ordering valve springs and things and collets, because they're different for the two. Then you keep, and there's the bottom. Sometimes these come out, sometimes they don't. So there is the seat for the bottom, two springs, the seat for the top. Keep all them together. Next thing we take out is the valve itself. And then what we're going to do is we're going to look at the valve seat, which here, whoa, is really, it's got a step in it. The other one looks pretty good, but that one, I think I'll have to get Steam Shop to grind these in for me. I'm going to get new valves, so actually the guide on this side, can I zoom you in? Oh, I'm getting red battery. The guide on that side is remarkably clean. I don't know, can you see the, there? That's worn. So now when you check the valves in the valve guides, you don't want any oil on them. You put the valve in. You don't want oil on, because that will, you know, even though it's a thin film, it'll take up a little bit of space, so you won't be able to tell the play. You sort of put it in like that, so it's off its seat, it's in its sort of working area, and you joggle it. Now if you listen carefully, and you hear that, and you can see the head of the valve moving up and down, that is wear. So the chances are it's the valve guide, but it may be the valve stem. But I'm going to order new valves anyway, because they're not really that expensive. And then what we'll do, I think, is what I've started to do now. Rather than put new guides in, I'm going to take it and get Dave to sleeve the guide to suit the new valve. So let me go and clean this head up. I've decided to use this one. I looked at the other one, and I might have to zoom you back here a bit. Oh no, we're alright. This piece actually, when I was trying it with the exhaust before, must have pulled out a little bit. So what I'm going to do is, when it's cleaned up, I'm going to do a little bit of aluminium welding to do a slight repair, and then we'll mill that nice and flat so that it looks good, and I'll use this head. So let me go and take the, when you see again, I have to keep looking to make sure you're in sight. We'll take the plug out where the decompressor goes, and then I'll see if I can get this one out, and we'll give it a glass bead blast. So there's the head cleaned up. I've bagged up the exhaust and inlet valve bits. Not quite so important now, seeing as we're going to put new valves and valve springs in. But if you were just rebuilding it, you want to keep those things together. So I've given it a going over in the bead blaster. When I've got the new valves and everything, I'll take it to Dave's and we'll see what he thinks about these seats. But the big thing is this. Now, there's some little ripple marks there which look to me almost like weld marks. So I'm going to heat this up to put some heat into the head, and then I'm just going to see about sealing up that little little crack there, and just going round filling this up a little here where this big gap is. We're just trying, I'm going to try more, we'll put a little filler rod in, but more than anything I just want to get all this fused together all the way around, and then we'll get that smoothed off. And also what we'll do is we'll put this on the surface plate and do that face. So let's see about some welding. Okay, built this up with some weld and reshaped it. I see a couple of little holes there. You know, I'm having real trouble with this new welder. It's a case of the new welder has more functions than the old one, and sometimes I just, with the aluminium, I just can't get it to puddle. So I've been prattling around with this for ages. I've welded it up and ground it out a couple of times. It's still not perfect. I just can't get in, you know, and sort of where that little hole is, just puddle it and put a blob in. It'll start to go. I don't know. I tried it with a plug in because I thought maybe the argon was just seeping away and I wasn't getting coverage. But anyway, before we're done, I'll have that finished. So there's the head ready to, when I get the valves and stuff, to, oops, I've moved you out again, to check on how the valve seats are and stuff like that. So let's put the head to one side. Back to the gearbox. I've been trying to get hold of Ray on the phone, but you know, it's still holiday time here, so he's maybe away. But I thought I would just try drilling a little bit more with a very small bit. And bugger me, as soon as I started, bonk, it went through. So yep, this is just a soft. So to Andreas and someone else mentioned this. Oh, they were absolutely right, and once again I was wrong. Which is always annoying, but then I'm used to it, you know, with Linda, because she's always right. Alright, let's switch off for a second. I'll go and find a nice big screwdriver. We'll clean that gunge out of there and see if we can't get that out. Now the biggest screwdriver bit I've actually got is a socket, so let's... Man, this is huge. Might have to make one. Depends on how easily this comes out. Oh, it's moving. So I'm going to go and put this in the vise. Right, I got it held in the vise so that I can use my other hand to keep this in the slot. Oh, come on. I think I am going to have to make a really broad one up. Tell you what, if anything, I think that's getting tighter. I suppose this could be a left-hand thread. Let's see. Oh. Yeah, it is. Another good example of don't go to something really hefty too soon. Well, actually, I think this is going to be about the last job today, because I've got to go out and do lots of ribboning. It's unfortunate to have to say this, I think I might have mentioned it before, but if I don't literally ribbon the entire section, a lot of the riders here, particularly the modern riders, won't look at the section, they'll just walk through looking at the way they can get round things. Now, of course, the next thing is getting a Welch plug to go in there, because obviously, I'll say obviously, but I would think so, or I'll check when I put my list of parts in. I don't think Hitchcocks are going to have one of those. Oh, there's even a little brass spacer in there. Okay, so that comes out. Comes out. Let me zoom you out a little bit, because that is on a brass bush, and then there's a brass thrust washer on the other side. So remember that, Michael, it goes in that way: bush, thing, washer. And I don't know if I mentioned this, but I found out that when I was rebuilding the topper on that, I had to go back to the videos because I couldn't remember half of it. So there it is. Alright, now I can heat this up, get that bearing out. I'll check this bronze bush as well. I'll measure that from the inside, and if that's alright. So the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put sealed bearings in, because ooh, listen to that. Because very often, certainly with the BSA, the oil seal that's on the shaft here is so poor that they nearly always leak. So anyway, as I say, that is it for this week. I'm not sure how long the video is, but I've got to go out in the woods, brave the ticks and the mosquitoes, and get some markers and ribbons up. So I'm not sure about the video for next week. Tell you what, Hang on a second. As I was talking to you, it was only polite that I should face you. Okay, so as I say, that's all I'm going to be able to manage for this week because it's Saturday and I've been holding on to get in touch with people. I forgot what I was going to say now. So that's it for this week. Next week, I really don't know how much time I'm going to have this coming week because it's quite a big trial to put on. I've got all sorts of other stuff to organise. So what next week's video might be is on the Monday or very late Sunday evening. It might just be the video from the trial to give you something to look at. I got an email from Buchanan's. Amazingly, they've already done the wheels. They were very good. They phoned me twice to check on things, and then this morning I've got an email, with a tracking number. So I've already got the tyres. They've arrived as well. So almost certainly by I get to you next week, or the week after, as I say, the next video, it'll be wheels in, rolling chassis. I'll get some handlebars, and we'll go from there. So as usual, go off and enjoy yourselves.